What would you do if a forgotten wallet held the key to changing your life? For Emily, a simple act of honesty led to an extraordinary turn of events. Hi everyone, welcome to Life Flow, where every story brings a new perspective. Let's get started. It was a brisk autumn morning, and Emily was rushing to catch the subway after her morning classes at the community college. She was a 20-year-old student juggling her studies and a part-time job at a small diner. Her life had been a constant struggle since her parents fell on hard times. And although she lived at home, the pressure of paying for her education and helping her family weighed heavily on her shoulders. That morning, as Emily boarded the train, she sat down in one of the few available seats. The crowd was thick, as usual, with people either heading to work or rushing to run errands. But something caught her eye almost immediately after she sat down: a worn leather wallet tucked between the seat and the wall of the train. She hesitated for a moment, glancing around to see if anyone appeared to be looking for it, but no one seemed to notice or care. The wallet was old and frayed at the edges, clearly used for many years. Curiosity got the better of her, and she carefully picked it up, feeling the weight of it in her hands. It felt full, though not in the way that most modern wallets did with credit cards and bank cards. This one felt heavier, older. Emily opened the wallet and found something surprising. No identification, no name, no driver's license, just 5 business cards, a photograph of an elderly couple from what looked like the 1950s, and to her shock, $1,000 in cash. Her breath caught as she counted the bills. $1,000. It wasn't the sort of money that anyone could afford to lose without noticing. For a brief moment, a thought crossed her mind. This money could help her in so many ways. It could pay off her overdue tuition bill, help her family with the mounting expenses they were facing, or even relieve some of the financial pressure she carried daily. She hadn't had a day off from work or school in months, and that money could give her some breathing room. But then, just as quickly, she pushed the thought away. Whoever owned this wallet must need the money just as much as she did. Maybe more. The wallet was old, the picture inside showed humble beginnings, and the way the money was folded neatly in place suggested that the person who owned it was careful, perhaps even desperate to keep every dollar they had. Emily stared at the photo of the couple. Were they the owner's parents? She thought about who the wallet might belong to: someone working 2 jobs, someone struggling to make ends meet, just like her. That night, Emily lay in bed, the wallet on her nightstand. She stared at it for what felt like hours. It would have been so easy to pocket the money, to solve her problems for at least a little while. But deep down, she knew the right thing to do. She had to find the owner and return it, even if it meant spending more time and energy that she didn't really have. The next morning, before heading to her job at the diner, she took a closer look at the 5 business cards tucked inside the wallet. Each card was a clue, and Emily made a plan to visit each of the addresses listed. The first 4 cards were from local businesses, small shops, a repair service, and an older car dealership. The kind of places where the wallet might have fallen out unnoticed by a hardworking employee or patron. But after visiting each of these locations throughout the week, Emily came up empty-handed. No one recognized the wallet or its contents. Each time she showed the photo to the employees, they shook their heads and apologized, wishing her luck in her search. Emily didn't give up. The last card was for a large, well-known bank in the city, a place that seemed out of character with the humble appearance of the wallet. But it was her final lead. She decided to visit the bank the next morning, leaving early to make it there before her classes began. When she arrived at the grand, towering building, she felt a pang of nervousness. It was a far cry from the small, cozy businesses she had visited earlier in the week. The lobby was expansive, filled with the sounds of clicking heels and the chatter of people conducting serious financial business. Emily approached the security guard at the front desk and explained her situation. "I found this wallet," she said, holding it up for the guard to see. "I've been trying to find the owner, but I haven't had any luck so far. The only clue I have left is this business card for your bank. Do you know if it belongs to anyone here?" The guard glanced at the wallet, then at the business card she was holding. He gave her a nod, but before he could answer, another man stepped through the glass doors behind them. He was well-dressed, his suit neatly pressed, his hair graying slightly at the temples, and his presence commanded attention. He looked like someone in charge, someone who didn't have time for idle conversation. The guard straightened up immediately and said, "Good morning, Mr. Davenport." Emily's heart skipped a beat as the man walked past, but then something strange happened. He stopped abruptly, his eyes fixed on the wallet in her hand. His expression softened, and his eyes grew wide. "Excuse me," Mr. Davenport said, his voice trembling slightly. "May I see that wallet?" Emily handed it to him, watching as his hands trembled when he took it from her. He opened it carefully, as though it were a priceless artifact, and when he saw the photograph of the elderly couple inside, his eyes filled with tears. I thought I'd lost it, he whispered, his voice filled with a mix of relief and gratitude. I never thought I'd see this again. He looked at Emily with a stunned expression, as if he couldn't believe someone had gone through the trouble of returning it. Everything is still here, he said, glancing at the cash. You didn't take any of it? Emily shook her head, feeling a bit embarrassed at the thought. No, I didn't. I wanted to make sure it got back to its rightful owner. Mr. Davenport was visibly moved. He held the wallet close to his chest for a moment before he spoke again. This wallet, it's not just about the money. It's a part of my family's history. This was a gift from my parents, my first Christmas gift after I turned 15. I've carried it with me every day since then. Emily listened quietly, feeling a lump form in her throat as Mr. Davenport continued. My parents were very humble people. We didn't have much growing up, but they always gave me everything they could. This picture, he said, pulling the photograph from the wallet and showing it to Emily. This is them. They gave me this wallet, and it's one of the last things I've left from them. Emily's heart ached for him. She could see how much the wallet meant to him, far beyond its monetary value. She had been right to return it. After a moment of silence, Mr. Davenport took a deep breath and asked, "What's your name?" "Emily," she replied softly. "Emily," he said, repeating her name as though he were committing it to memory. "You've done something truly remarkable today. Most people would have kept the money, but you went above and beyond to find me. Please, tell me more about yourself." Emily hesitated for a moment, not used to being the center of attention, especially in such a grand place as the bank lobby. But there was something about Mr. Davenport's sincere gaze that made her feel comfortable enough to share a little about herself. "Well, I'm a student," she began, her voice soft. "I'm studying business at the local community college. It's tough, though. I work part-time at a diner to help cover tuition and help my family. My parents, well, they've fallen on hard times, so I try to contribute as much as I can." Mr. Davenport nodded, listening carefully. His expression shifted from one of mere curiosity to something deeper. Empathy, perhaps. He could see that this young woman had her own struggles, just like he had once had. "You sound like a very hardworking young woman," he said kindly. "It's not easy balancing work and school, especially when you're also helping out at home." Emily gave a small smile, grateful for his understanding. "It's tough sometimes, but I know it'll pay off in the end. I'm trying to keep my grades up and save enough money for when I transfer to a 4-year university. But it's slow going." Mr. Davenport looked thoughtful for a moment before he spoke again. "You know, Emily, when I was younger, I wasn't much better off. My parents worked hard, but we didn't have much. This wallet," he said, lifting it slightly, was a symbol of their sacrifice. "It's old, but it's special to me because it represents their love and hard work." He paused, then continued, "I never would have gotten to where I am today without people like you. People who were willing to give back even when they had little. Your act of kindness today, it's something that can't go unrewarded." Emily's eyes widened slightly. "Oh no, really, I didn't do it for a reward," she said quickly. "I just wanted to do the right thing." Mr. Davenport smiled. "I know. That's what makes it even more deserving of one. The fact that you didn't keep the money, that you went out of your way to track me down, it says a lot about your character. And I'd like to help you, if you'll allow me." Emily looked confused. "Help me?" "Yes," he said, his tone warm but firm. "I want to offer you a scholarship to help with your education. I know how hard it can be to juggle school and work, especially when money is tight. I want to help lift some of that burden for you, so you can focus on your studies and not have to worry so much about how to pay for them." Emily blinked, stunned by the offer. "A scholarship? But I don't know if I can accept that." "You don't have to do that for me." Mr. Davenport chuckled softly, shaking his head. "Emily, sometimes good deeds come back to us in ways we don't expect. You've done something remarkable today, and I have the means to help you. Let me give back, just as you've given me back something priceless." Emily bit her lip, torn between her instinct to refuse and the overwhelming sense of gratitude that was building in her chest. A scholarship would be life-changing. She could focus more on her studies, take fewer shifts at the diner, and maybe even take some time to relax, something she hadn't been able to do in a long time. But still, she didn't want to feel like she was taking advantage of Mr. Davenport's generosity. I don't know what to say," she admitted. "This is just so unexpected. I didn't expect anything in return, and that," Mr. Davenport said, "is exactly why you deserve this. Good people like you are hard to come by, and when I meet someone who has that kind of integrity, I believe in supporting them." Emily's heart raced as she considered his offer. She could hardly believe what was happening. All of this from a forgotten wallet she'd found on the train. Mr. Davenport continued, "This scholarship isn't just about the money. It's about investing in someone I believe has a bright future ahead of them. I know you didn't ask for anything in return, but sometimes life surprises us with opportunities when we least expect them. Please don't say no. Emily hesitated for a moment longer, but deep down, she knew that accepting his help would make a world of difference. Finally, she nodded. Okay, she said, her voice shaky with emotion. Thank you. Really, thank you so much. Mr. Davenport smiled, his eyes still glistening with the gratitude he felt for her. You're welcome, Emily. I'm glad we met. You've restored my faith in the kindness of others. They spent a few more moments talking, Mr. Davenport asking her about her studies, her plans for the future, and what she hoped to achieve. He was impressed by her determination and resilience, qualities that reminded him of himself when he was younger. Before they parted ways, Mr. Davenport said, one more thing. If you ever find yourself needing a job in the future, once you've completed your studies, come see me. I'd be more than happy to have someone like you working at my company. You have the kind of values we look for. Emily's heart swelled with gratitude. I will, she promised. Thank you again. You've done more for me than I could have ever imagined. Mr. Davenport shook her hand, his smile warm and genuine. No, Emily, it's you who have done more than you realize. As she left the bank, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how the events had unfolded. Finding the wallet had been a stroke of fate, one that had led to a series of life-changing opportunities. She had never expected anything in return for her good deed. But now, thanks to Mr. Davenport's generosity, her future felt brighter than it had in a long time. Over the following weeks, Emily continued with her classes and her part-time job at the diner, but something had shifted. With the scholarship in place, she no longer had to work as many hours, and she was able to focus more on her studies. The financial stress that had weighed on her for so long began to lift, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she could breathe a little easier. As for Mr. Davenport, he didn't forget about Emily. He checked in with her from time to time, offering advice and encouragement as she navigated her studies. They developed a friendship of sorts, one built on mutual respect and admiration. And then, one day, Emily received a letter from the university she had always dreamed of attending. She had been accepted, and with Mr. Davenport's scholarship, she could finally make her dream of a 4-year degree a reality. Months passed, and Emily's life had taken a turn she had never anticipated. She continued her studies with renewed determination, knowing that Mr. Davenport's scholarship had lifted a great weight off her shoulders. The stress of working extra shifts at the diner had faded, allowing her to focus on her education and the path she'd always wanted to follow. She had found more than just the owner of the wallet that day. She had found purpose, connection, and a future that looked brighter than ever. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Help us spread the message of kindness and integrity, and let's create a ripple effect of positivity.